What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news, keep you up to date, and keep you informed with everything that the government does, because the government is always up to something. They're always doing some stuff we don't like, so we need to hear about it, and the mainstream narrative machine is going to lie to you. You know that. I know that. The mainstream narrative machine knows that. So that's what we're here for. We're here to bring you some news and then give you our opinion on that. So that's what we do around here. You know, most of the time we focus in a lot on the government, but every once in a while I like to cut to cultural topics, court cases and whatnot, because technically that still kind of involves the government, because it's the court system, it's the judicial system, that's part of the government, right? But culture and the judicial system tie in pretty close. So yeah, I'm gonna cover that stuff too. So today, I came across this article, and I was just like, whoa, I got to talk about this one, because I can almost guarantee you the mainstream news is going to lie about what they say. And, oh, yeah, I start reading the article, and I'm like, oh, yeah, they're lying. So we're going to cover it. So let's, screw all the tangent news BS. Let's go ahead and jump right into it right quick. Ahmaud Arbery's killers ask a U.S. appeals court to overturn their hate crime convictions. Yes, that is a very, very obvious thing to ask. Of course, you're going to appeal your decisions, but if you don't know about this case, this case was crazy. It kind of got flooded out by the whole George Floyd thing. This happened, not long after George Floyd, and this one kind of got washed away, so this one isn't as well known, but this one is kind of crazy, y'all. This one's really crazy. And, at least one of the convictions in this case is absolute BS. And it blows my mind that this person got convicted for murder. He didn't have nothing to do with the murder. Okay, if you don't know the case, basically what the mainstream narrative machine told everybody is you had a guy that was a jogger who was just jogging through a neighborhood. And these evil, racist, white supremacists saw a black man jogging through their white neighborhood and took off in pickup trucks with shotguns and went and tried to kidnap him and killed him. Right? That's what the fabricated truth was. However, back over in reality land, what was actually happening is this guy wasn't a jogger. No. He was actually on videotape breaking in essentially to construction sites where they were building houses and whatnot in this neighborhood, right? And there was a string of thefts from these construction sites. And they had suspects. They had this guy on video camera. He was their main suspect. And the McMichaels, which is the people, the quote-unquote racists, which, if you look through their history, yeah, they probably racist. White supremacists, yeah, I don't know. A little bit racist, sure. That's quite clear, actually. I wouldn't call them white supremacists. There was no evidence whatsoever that they were in the KKK or anything like that. They just had some racist comments in the past on social media, so, we'll get into the weeds on that one. But anyway, so there was a string of robberies. This guy was their main suspect, right? Now, they saw the guy running down the road, running away from the construction site. So they called the police, say, hey, we got this guy. They said, don't chase the guy, because they told the cops that they were going to go and arrest him, citizen's arrest, perform a citizen's arrest on this guy. And the cops said no, but they went and did it anyway. And the son, the younger guy, one of the McMichaels, Travis, I believe his name is, he had a shotgun. So they take off in their trucks and they go and block this guy off. I said they. It was the McMichaels got in their truck, and their neighbor happened to be at their house or whatever. So he was like, I'm going to film this in case, whatever happens, I'll have it on film. Yeah, this guy got a murder charge, 35 years in prison for filming the interaction. But it was just a crazy, crazy thing. So they cut him off, they get out, and they're like, we're placing you under citizen's arrest. Ahmaud Arbery tries to grab the shotgun from Travis. They struggle, and Ahmaud Arbery gets killed. And like I said, that story is way different from what the mainstream narrative machine told us happened. I got caught up in that, as a matter of fact, because I was reading the news and I saw this and I'm like, oh crap, sounds like a lynching to me. But once you start getting into the facts, as a matter of fact, the court case itself, they were bringing murder charges against these guys, but some of the arguments to me off top didn't make sense, because I'm like, well, hang on. They were trying to arrest this guy? Yeah, come to find out, they were trying to perform a citizen's arrest on this dude because he was a robbery suspect. And the police were actually looking for this guy. So, yeah, this whole jogger narrative that they came out with was just absolute BS. But let's get into the story, because I've ranted for long enough. Attorneys for 3 white men who chased and killed Ahmaud Arbery in a Georgia subdivision asked a federal appeals court Wednesday to throw out their hate crime convictions, arguing that prosecutors relied on their history of racist comments without proving they targeted Ahmaud Arbery because he was black. Yeah, they didn't target him because he was black. That was obvious from watching the court case. They targeted him because he was the main suspect. At the end of the day, this issue isn't about the racism of these defendants. A.J. Balbo, representing Greg McMichael, told a 3-judge panel on the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Atlanta. It's about whether or not the government met its burden. Their arguments also strayed beyond the core issue of whether a racist intent to harm motivated the February 23, 2020 pursuit that ended with Ahmaud Arbery shot dead in the street. Defense attorneys raised legal technicalities, including their contention that prosecutors failed to prove Ahmaud Arbery was killed on a public road. Federal prosecutors countered that the trial jury in 2022 heard sufficient evidence to find the trio guilty of hate crimes as well as attempted kidnapping. Racist views evidenced by the men's prior text messages and social media posts, they said, informed their mistaken assumption that Ahmaud Arbery was a fleeing criminal. Now, that's where the mainstream narrative machine is lying to you. Ahmaud Arbery was a fleeing criminal. He clearly, on videotape, broke into these construction sites. They can't prove he stole anything, but there was a string of robberies from these construction sites. He was on video entering the construction sites and different construction sites multiple times. So this guy was the main suspect. So you could put 2 and 2 together and say he was probably the guy that was stealing from these construction sites. Now, that is also alleged, right? You can't outright prove it, but, there's sufficient evidence to bring it to court. There's sufficient evidence for an arrest. There's sufficient evidence to convict, to be honest. But, this was in the wake of the George Floyd riots, so they were trying to continue the riots for some reason, because their ratings were through the roof during these riots, because they were getting nonstop coverage of all these riots going on, these mostly peaceful protests, fiery but peaceful protests, right? That was just an insane year, if you ask me. We had a pandemic, then all these riots, then people were locked in their homes. I wasn't. I wasn't ever on lockdown. I don't know what lockdown means, to be honest with you. I missed work for 2 days when the orders first came out. My boss was like, oh, okay, we'll shut down for a couple days. And he was like, nah, we got to get back to work. So we went back to work. We worked as normal. 2 days is all I was off. I never got COVID, never took a vaccine, none of that stuff. So I wasn't really affected much by the pandemic. I just saw grocery prices freaking skyrocket, and I was like, oh, man.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
My life is so much harder now. Thanks, Joe Biden. The hate-fueled violence the defendants inflicted on Ahmaud is precisely the type of conduct that Congress targeted when it passed the Civil Rights Act, said Brant Levine, an attorney for the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. No, it's not. That's not it at all. That is a lie. See, these people, they just love to twist the narrative around. This has nothing to do with the Civil Rights Act, and this has everything to do with should these guys have been trying to make a citizen's arrest on somebody who was just a suspect? And should they have had a gun on them? looking back in hindsight, no, it probably wasn't a good idea at all, but it happened, and they have every right to carry a gun in Georgia. That was one of the things that, in Georgia, there's a weird law that if you don't witness the crime and it's a misdemeanor, you can't make a citizen's arrest. But on felonies, you don't have to witness the crime. As long as you know who the suspect is, you can make a citizen's arrest based off of that. That's crazy. You don't have to actually see the crime to make a citizen's arrest. That's citizen's arrest always blew my mind. Let me know down in the comments what you think about citizen's arrest. I find that to be very odd because, right off top you think, well, yeah, citizen's arrest. You see somebody committing a crime. But, it's innocent until proven guilty at the same time. So it's like, hang on. So, like this law in Georgia, if they don't see the guy commit the crime, he's innocent, technically, right? I know there's a legal process that goes through all this, but citizen's arrest it was always one of those issues that never quite made sense to me because, that's what we have the police for. Sure, but I'm sorry, y'all, just tangent news, just something. Let me know how you feel about citizen's arrest down in the comments section. Father and son Greg and Travis McMichael armed themselves with guns and used a pickup truck to chase Omri after spotting the 25-year-old man running in their neighborhood. Outside the port city of Brunswick, a neighbor, William Roddy Bryan, joined the pursuit in his own truck and recorded cell phone video of Travis McMichael shooting Aubrey at close range with a shotgun. Yeah, it showed them fighting over the gun. It showed them trying to arrest Ahmaud Arbery. And he lunged at Travis and tried to take the gun away from him. If it was just that, that's a clear-cut case of self-defense. But it's not just that. There's a lot of moving parts with this. We got a suspect of a crime. Then we have a couple of people trying to make a citizen's arrest. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. But the fact that they got murder charges and, Travis and Greg McMichael both got life in prison. The other guy, this one, like I said, it blows my freaking mind. And I can't believe they gave this guy 35 freaking years for just recording the interaction. That's insane to me. More than 2 months passed without arrest until Bryan's graphic video of the killing leaked online. A national outcry erupted over Aubrey's death. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations took over the case from local police, and charges soon followed. All three men were convicted of murder in a Georgia state court in late 2021, followed months later by the federal hate crimes trial. That one blew my freaking mind. They didn't prove hate crimes whatsoever, not to me at least. It's hard. How are you going to prove a hate crime on something like this, right? Like they took some social media posts and text message that was a little bit racist and used that as a basis to call this a hate crime when it was clearly these men were trying to be vigilantes essentially and went and tried to arrest a suspect. That's not a hate crime. So the whole fact with this going to a court of appeals is BS. The whole fact that it went to a hate crime trial is BS, in my opinion. The fact that they got murder charges, first-degree murder charges, were sentenced to life in prison for this is BS. Sure, they done some illegal shit that they shouldn't have been doing. Charge them, of course. I'm not arguing that at all. I'm not saying they get off scot-free. I'm saying that murder in the first degree, no, that's BS, y'all. That's way over line. Manslaughter at the minimum. For sure, manslaughter. You know what I mean? Because it's another thing, too. It's like, I'm kind of on the fence on that one because, nobody would have got killed if Ahmaud Arbery would have just relented and be like, okay, hang on. We're going to chill. Let's regroup, But no, what did he do? He tried to take the shotgun away from Travis. Now, let's run this scenario in your freaking head right quick. What if Ahmaud Arbery would have gotten the shotgun away from Travis? What do you think would have happened? Let me know down in the comments, because I'd love to hear what you have to think. Do you think he would have shot him? He would have probably got off with self-defense. Straight up. That would have been a clear-cut case of self-defense, at least in the public's eye. However, once they got into the weeds on this thing, they would have realized that, hang on, these three were just trying to make a citizen's arrest, or these two. I'm sorry. Like I said, I got tainted by the mainstream narrative machine on this one too, and I thought all three of them were in on it, because that's how the mainstream news broke this, is all three of them. But it was just the two guys. The other guy was just there to record. He didn't want nothing to do with that. The fact that he got convicted for this still, like I said, blows my freaking mind. I know I've said that several times throughout this video, and I apologize for that, but that's all I got for this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Would you like to see this appeal go through and they actually take the hate crime off of this? Not that it's going to do any freaking good, but what do you think about this case? Do you remember this case? Let me know down in the comments some of your opinions on do you think these guys are guilty of murder, or were doing this as a hate crime, targeted Ahmaud Arbery because he was black? Or do you think that it's a lot more simple than that, Occam's razor, if you will, that, yeah, these dudes saw the suspect of a string of robberies and were like, yeah, we're going to go do something for our community because we're tired of these construction sites getting robbed. So they went and tried to arrest this guy, and it turned into a stinking murder trial. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. And y'all try to have a good day. And don't forget to hit the like. Peace.